Win something.
Lord of the Rings.
No, not that one. The Chinese. Where the wind go?
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm with you. We're going on an adventure. An adventure into Aram. Here we have Buckles and Cielo. We're travelling along Runeterra, looking for champions to play.
Feel the thorns embrace.
Feel the thorns embrace.
Okay. Singe.
Oh,
Oh
my
my
god. I don't know who you want to be, darling. She's not easy.
What about her?
She's an ADC. Her main attack is Q, okay? So, like Ashe,
Damage.
like Tristana.
Damage and healing and damage the mana.
Yeah.
Damage mana?
Yeah.
I'll do it again.
Huh?
Meh.
Meh?
I gambled 3 times and lost every fucking time.
Well, you know.
How the hell did I get the ash?
That Malphite skin's cool. So you want to build Static Shiv first, but darling, okay?
What should I buy first?
Static Shiv.
Come closer.
And your main thing is Q. Okay, that's basically your auto attack. Is Q. So you've got a Q move, Q.
What do my...
So to attack, you just keep hitting Q, okay?
Just wait. Such a busy one.
Good job, baby.
What does my E do?
I can't remember what your E does.
Pierce.
It's your Q you care about.
Stabs.
Oh, goodbye, darling.
Things aren't always what they seem.
Oh, it's the dash.
Venture off the beaten path.
Stay behind that Malphite or me every time, okay? So you want to be where I am.
Which one is you, fuck?
This one. The one with buckles above his name.
Ooh, what's that? Ooh, sticky, sticky. Man, what does my R do again?
You have to read it. No! He almost killed us. Come over here, babe. Come, come, come.
Kill someone.
Come, 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 come. Get this.
This land is mine.
That's a lot of thought. Let's see if you can back it up.
Why do they have a big guy?
That is Tibbers.
What should I get next?
What does it say?
What do I say?
What does it say?
I'll recommend it.
Yeah.
Ruken's Hurricane, Yunkai reload and the
Get Yuntai. Get Yuntai's. After boots.
not the boots.
After boots, get Yuntai's.
Holds many surprises.
After you get your first item, Static Shiv, of course.
Tell them I did it for science.
Which you've got. Seems like you've got too many items.
Take careful steps.
What's that?
That is damage.
Until my seat. Just
Oh, the fucking terrace!
always what they see.
Oh,
Just a home.
why do you think you attack? Oh, the fucking terrace!
Yeah.
Venture off the beaten
Oh, it wasn't you I was looking at. Okay. No!
No.
I was being killed. Were you hitting Q as many times as you could? I hope you were.
Discharge a nova of electricity, dealing 200 magic damage to nearby enemies. If she hits the enemy champion and gain 5 seconds. Something, something, something. I didn't finish reading. Why they?
Too busy.
Baby, 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 baby.
Right. Ready for what?
Pain must be felt.
Q, 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 Q. Back off, back off, back off, back off! Why are you tanking the turret?
Didn't pay attention to the fucking turret.
Pay attention to your health, you fuck! Bless you.
Thank you.
Force told
Yourself.
many surprises.
For Piltover!
My friend thinks it's so clever.
What does that fucking bear do? Attacking us?
Punches the shit out of you.
Take careful steps.
Can I use the electricity now?
You can try, but there's no minions.
Just wait. Wait until my seeds take root.
The turret kills me again.
Yeah, when you go under the turret and hit them, it's gonna hit you, darling.
And you guys destroy the turret first. I know it's a bit too much to ask.
Knows what they see.
No place is safe while I'm free.
Why the fuck did it hit me? That was weird. Stay behind people all the time, darling. You want people to hit other people. So you walking forward is not the one.
Just a harmless flower.
Go, baby, go. Go, baby, go. Go, baby, go. Stay away from him. Stay away from him.
What do you mean? I'm almost killing him.
Yeah, you're sat on him. He's Darius.
Venture out.
If he gets 5 stacks on you, he can press R and you go bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Running on empty.
The turret is so annoying. There's no minions.
Take the life from
Again! Again!
Stay back. Stay back.
What's next? Recommend it. Run-ons?
Runan's Hurricane.
Heritage. Should I get that one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Affinity.
Runan's Hurricane. Are you hitting Q as much as you can?
When I can, yes.
Just literally spam it when you attack people.
Kinda, yeah.
Spam it, spam it, spam it, spam it.
Kill?
closer.
Yeah, that's your main damage, darling.
Promising ground.
Good job, baby. Run, 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 run.
Carrot again.
It's not turret. That was Cogmore. Get the health, baby. Get the health, get the health, get the health. Good job. Cogmore's passive, when he dies, he runs after you and blows up.
Running on empty.
Kill him! And why did that happen, darling?
Because I didn't move.
Because you didn't move. Because you didn't move.
The forest holds many surprises.
They were mean!
Take careful steps.
She's just having fun.
What, Zeri? You just got to learn how to play her. I can't help. I can only help with positioning and stuff. But baby, stay away from him. You can hit him. Just stay out of range. With me, babe. Don't let me die. Hello? Anyone?
Ah! Where?
Good job. Run.
Like,
Wait, it wasn't too late.
Pain must be felt.
should I get blood? Rista?
You can. Bloodthirster. You can get that.
They said Lord
Just a harmless
Dominic
flower.
regard.
That's also a good item. But, back off, babe. Going, going. Back off, back off, back off. Back off, back off. Fight who everyone else is fighting.
Venture off the beaten path.
Fun storming the bridge.
So much more to see.
Why that guy's not moving?
AFK.
Why do we always
Back off, back off.
H.
Take pride in how swiftly we fall.
Yeah.
Such a busy world.
Pain must be felt. A gift from Zon!
The forest holds many surprises.
Follow him, babe. Back off, back off, back off. Good flash.
Careful steps.
Do they still talk about me?
Goodbye. She just dropped timbers on your ass.
Wait until my
I'll go
seeds
buy
take root.
stuff.
Things aren't always what they seem.
Oh, never mind.
I kept trying to ult and it wouldn't ult. Fucking annoying. Go in, baby. Kill the Ash. Alright, back off and kill him. Back off and kill him. And now kill him. Kill him. Kill him. That's it. Yes, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. You're dead.
Just a harmless flower. Just wait. Venture out the beaten path.
Kill, baby, kill. Good girl. Beautiful. Alright, stay behind them. Stay behind tanks. Kill the minions. A good girl,
Why did
G
you go
then.
back?
Because they got low health and everyone's coming. Are you crazy?
Salutations.
So much more to see. Come closer.
What should I get next, Jeremy? Infinity
Yeah, Infinity.
Edge?
Yeah.
Promising garden. Just wait. Such a busy world.
And down.
The Cogmore's the problem.
When I move, how can I attack at the same time?
Why are you using your mouse, darling? Attack, click away, attack, click away. Click them, click away, click them, click away. But instead, you'd be queuing. Your last item, you'll go in Infinity Edge. Yeah, okay.
Is what they see.
Everyone storming the bridge.
Just a harmless flower.
Good job, babe. Unlucky, babe.
Oh,
This smolder's really shit. There we go. The little dragon. He actually did good then. If I got rid of that. $90. Yeah.
Venture off the beaten path.
buy
Do
it.
they still talk about me?
You haven't got enough money.
But like it's like something else lighting up.
Yeah, you haven't got no room.
So much more to see.
Oh my god! Why am I going there? Why am I going there? Why am I going there?
Nobody knows, darling. Nobody knows, my baby. Nobody knows. Stay behind me.
Can't even see.
Pay your fucking attention then.
A promise of God.
Kill the minions.
Such a busy man.
Focus him. Ah, we're dead. You're dead. Run away. Yeah.
I have no room now.
Yeah, you're full build. So now you just buy red potion. The red elixir.
How can you use it?
You just click it. And it's done. Because you've got no room, so you drink it straight away.
The forest holds many surprises.
Good job. We need the Cogmore. He's the person. He's the little creature that keeps spitting. That one.
That always stuns me. Fuck.
Got him. Kill. Kill her.
Didn't see her. See the ash.
We're gonna lose. Yeah. Sell your static shiv for a collector, baby. Or a phantom dancer. Yeah, sell your static shiv for a phantom dancer, babe. When you got a chance, okay?
Just a harmless flower.
Tell us.
Static shiv. Sell the shiv. And get a phantom dancer. We've lost, but don't sell it unless you can buy it.
Yeah, I can buy it.
Okay. They win.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's because I was support. I did damage, but I just get deleted by the ADCs.
Kind of fun.
It was fun. What rating did you get?
The champion. I mean,
What rating did you get?
what do you mean? What rain?
What rating?
I don't know. How do I see it?
It's on the window when you finish. I got an S+.
Oh, it just left.
Fuck's sake. Stop leaving! Look at your stats!
Where do I see it?
It's too late now. Press play again.
I cannot see the match history.
You can, but I don't think it tells you your rating. Glory to stake. No, it doesn't tell you your rating. Did you press play again?
I need to join your party first.
So you didn't press play again?
I don't know. Yes.
Just press play again! Glory to stake.
What did that mean?
Nothing. Don't worry about it. In stake we trust.
Justice takes wing.
You
Alright.
got who?
Try Lucian.
Pick Lucian.
Was I?
Pick Lucian. Right.
Oh, that's Lucian.
He's an ADC.
So damage and mana.
Swap with me.
Single target.
Swap with me. There you go.
Some just need a little help.
DPS.
Yeah.
Why am I here? Why are we still playing this? You said one game.
I was made for this.
No, I didn't.
Literally.
You did.
No, I didn't. I said, are you joining me on stream for Aram? I'm not playing bots on stream, darling. I'd rather fucking... To make someone play bots on stream, that would be literal torture. Literal. Joel tuning in to watch me play some League, find out I'm playing beginner bots. That's content. And it'll be a random game where we'd lose.
Only contents matter.
When I'm streaming, obviously. Duh. Right, so you max your W. Okay?
Wait, which one am I?
Your Quinn.
My W?
Yep, you max your W first. That's the first one you level up.
Should I get the E?
Get all your abilities.
That one.
Get all... Yeah. Then you should have 2 others to get your E and your Q.
I forgot to buy stuff. What should I buy first?
Too late. You
Collector?
can't. You can't.
What do you mean I can't?
You can't buy anything.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Which should I buy? Collector or
You
Captain?
can't buy anything.
I was in there.
It doesn't. You can be in it wherever you are in the map. It doesn't mean you can buy anything. When you go back, you want collector. Your thing, babe, is you press E and you bounce off them. When you bounce off them, make sure you right-click them, okay? Don't give me that face. I didn't tell you anything confusing.
Right click them?
Yeah. See this little target here on the minion? You see this target?
No. Oh, oh. How can I attack?
You can poke with your Q. If someone walks up to you or you want to stop someone, you press E on them and then attack them afterwards.
I don't get E. I didn't get E. I didn't get E. I didn't get E. I'm dying. I'm dying.
Tilt me so hard, the fact that you don't get all your abilities.
Which one should I get first?
Collector. I'm alive!
It's not how much you can lift. It's how good you look.
Which one are you? Oh.
Into artwork.
That's what I thought.
All manner of marvelous things.
Fighting is in my blood. I mean, my goo.
I die here, frozen and alone. Because of my ideas.
Am I a long range?
You're an ADC. Why would Zed ult me?
Why am I a bird? Why am I a bird?
That's Valor.
So what am I doing now?
You're fast. When you attack someone, you'll hail of arrows. Okay?
Oh, forgot where am I? Ah.
So you want to E. E will kick you. It kicks off someone, baby, and you make them like get knocked up, and you jump away from them. So your E is an escape.
I may
Should I
beg,
keep this?
but I don't.
Yes, it's your ultimate. When you want to hurt someone, you right click them.
Why am I get stunned? Hey,
Good job, babe.
How's it going?
what's that guy's called?
Huh?
Voltec. Okay.
Now you want to get so look at their team. Blade the Ruin King. No, Kraken Slayer.
Put some spring in your step.
Welcome.
Here, use it. Ooh, that's
How have I gotten out there? In here.
ah, where?
Yeah. I always did.
That guy's
Yeah, Jin does a lot of damage. Joel's really good as him. He hasn't played him for a while though, because he never plays League. I'm coming, Lee! I'm coming! Oh, Flabby Cat's going to grace us with his presence.
join us.
Yeah.
You might regret this.
He won't. You're getting so much better, it's nuts.
Look what they did.
Help me! Help me!
Which one, how much they last time? Okay.
Quinn's one of my favourite top laners, babe.
Ooh.
The one you are, Quinn.
I never skip breakfast.
Press it! How did I get it? actually kill someone for so
I think
long?
so.
Which one am I? Where am I? On the right or on the left?
You're dead.
Oh, three. I killed 3.
Good
Oh my
job.
God.
You got to remember, we're not expecting you to be good, babe. Not only are you new to League, you're new to these heroes.
It's just frustrating. I couldn't do
It is.
anything.
It is.
Fuck them.
But you're learning. There's no way you're better learning to be afraid of heroes or champions than playing against them.
Goes in.
Yeah, she waits for you to go in. And then she ultimates you.
What does my R do again?
It makes you really fast. It makes you really fast. And when you come out of bird form, it marks everybody. Her mark is the most important thing about her. When you Q someone, you put a mark on them. You auto attack. When you E someone, you put a mark on them. Auto attack. And you do big damage.
Kill them. I'll keep you.
That's you being an idiot. And that's on you.
I just bash and I go out. Ah. What should I get next? Play a ring game or that?
Play the Rune King. Good job, babe.
Fighting is in my blood. I mean, my goo.
What's this?
That's Senna making you invisible.
Need help. Come back, guys. Come back. Oh.
Oh, come right in.
I'm not as squishy as I look.
I've been keep losing. Four times in a row. What's wrong with your streak, honey?
What do you mean?
There's plenty of me to go around.
I've been losing 4 times in a row. On your stream.
You're losing 4 times in a row.
Yes.
Okay. All part of learning. E him! E
No
him!
gambling, no gambling, no gambling!
E!
Fuck.
That's it! Don't press R while you fight. Don't press R while you fight. You did really good though. I'm proud of you. Apart from the R while you fought. That was actually pretty good.
I don't even know what I'm doing there. You guys like everything. That's every time case.
Doesn't matter, you're doing damage.
There you go. I get the money back. You poke them?
Good job, you helped me. Good job. You followed your tank.
Which one is him?
Me.
I don't know which one. Oh. I,
I'm your big purple bit of goo. And because you followed me, I didn't die and you got all the kills.
Go big or go
I
home.
finally killed someone.
You killed 3 people.
What does my ability do again?
It reveals everybody.
Why am I here?
Not yet.
What's next? Infinity.
Nope. Blade.
Uh.
Oh, you've got Blade. What's next for Quinn?
They recommend the Lord Dominic's
Yes.
God.
Yeah, get that. And then it's Infinity.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Gotta pay attention to what you're doing.
How's it going?
That's your emo?
Yeah. Don't walk forward. Let me walk forward. Hit the minions, babe.
I should get a suit.
Stop walking forward like that. Stay behind me and do not walk past me.
I stay behind, I still got killed. We're all dead, Abby.
I'm not. I'm still alive.
You won 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Me.
Someone wasn't paying attention again, was she?
It becomes a habit, just go in there and like teleport.
You have to pay attention. Cogmore's doing so much damage to me.
What do you see up there? Go for the eyes.
E! Well done. Now Cogmore! Get in!
Me again?
Yeah, if you've got it up, always go in. Cogmore!
I couldn't.
You're clicking the minions, babe.
I never skip.
Oh, that's the problem. We're gonna lose.
Yep. What do you think of Quinn? Hmm?
It's alright.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In ARAM, it's difficult because she's sort of short range. What rating did you get?
I see.
Ooh. You need to pay attention to that.
No.
I want to see when you get an A or higher. You've gone past it again.
I pass it again.
Yeah, it's on the first screen.
Okay.
Let's join server, baby.
Okay. There's a copy.
Server time. Hello, Flabby Catechus.
Big dog.
Hello there.
Geezer.
Geezer. Zach's fun, but he's just useless in ARAM unless you've got damage. And somehow with a Jin, a Senna, and a Lee Sin, I had no damage.
Yeah, well, I mean, Lee Sin falls off, doesn't he?
Yeah. Very true.
You know what I mean?
Welcome back.
Hello.
Did we just both get ignored?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I muted. I forgot.
Nah.
Let's suffer. Let's go.
It's not suffering, it's fun. She actually enjoyed Panzeri, Joel.
On a certain degree, that is suffer.
Zeri.
Yeah. I was like, I can't help
The
you with her.
laser lightning thingy.
Yeah, I was like, I can't help you with her. I don't know how to play her.
Yeah, no, fuck Zeri. Or an as.
I just want a simple champion.
You had a simple champion. Quinn is simple.
Which one? Which one is Queen?
The last one you played.
Meh.
Don't you meh me?
Camille.
Camille.
From
Camille.
Ivorin.
Ivan.
Ivorin.
Don't pick them.
Then
Don't pick them. Pick Samira, the woman,
Okay.
the girl with the eye patch.
oh, I picked the wrong one.
Pick the eye patch girl. Joel, do you want? Oh, you're him. Okay, I'm tempted to give up Kale.
Should I get burst damage?
We do. I thought you'd be Ivan, mate.
What should I get?
Just be,
Bonus damage.
just choose one. You'll be fine.
Sustain healing.
Oh, Ivan.
No, I don't
No
have
healing.
Grim.
Kale or Heimer?
Ooh, what's that one? What's the first one?
Huh? That's Heimerdinger. Oh, you should have been Heimer. Yeah, you should have been Heimer.
Heim would be an easy one, yeah.
Annie. Viego. Jerven.
Right, pick Smolder. Pick Smolder where you can. Pick any of them. Pick any of them. Right, pick Smolder, the dragon in the middle. Dragon in the middle. Oh, pick Ziggs.
Dragon and...
Pick Ziggs.
Which one is 6?
Or do you want to be an AD carry like Tristana?
I don't know which one is 6.
Listen, do you want to be an AD carry like Tristana or throw bombs?
Throw bombs.
Be Ziggs. He's the one with the goggles near the far right.
Oh.
Yes. That means I'll be Smolder.
I bring the heat.
So, ability damage and mana or
Ooh.
execute enemy and cooldown?
Yeah. Ability damage and execute enemy and cooldown.
What's the difference between these two?
You have to read them.
That is effort, though.
You can say that because
Why
you've
they-
played this game for so long.
Why they're in English? I want they to be in Chinese, please.
Translate for her, Trev.
Liu Bei Guang Wei's Liu Bu.
Hula gate.
Why do you sound like this, Flabby Cat? Are you
What?
drunk again?
No.
Fucking hell.
Are you drunk again? Again?
Fucking hell. Not even. I don't even get drunk
It
that
sounds
much.
like it sounds like the hangover moment. Hangover sound.
Is she right?
No.
Just a
I've been
bit.
on a course. I've had to use my brain, mate. I can't be drinking.
Oh, so he's all brained out.
Wait,
Yeah.
I forgot to see the
Absolutely
ability.
drained.
So you're
Although
cute.
it's an update today, so I'm fine now.
Congrats.
I can drink again.
You just throw your Q at people all the time, Lynn. Your E
Hmm.
throws bombs on the floor, and your W is like a bomb that you can put down. Then you press W again, and it throws people around. You can also use it to bomb yourself, so you throw yourself away from people.
So W. That's W.
Yeah, and your ultimate is a big bomb, which you just aim at people, like your Q. So if you see Orn go in, the big ram goat guy, that's when you throw your big bomb. When he hits his, you'll hear a. Okay,
What should I get first?
Luden's echo. Luden's, whatever it is, Luden's. Just straight Luden's.
That's
What?
the
Oh,
first
oh.
thing I can see.
Yeah, get that.
Oh!
I hate playing against him as Vex.
What is my E again?
It throws little bombs on the floor.
Slows the enemy.
That they can't walk through it without taking damage.
Nice.
More Misfortune just demonstrated that for some reason. They will target you, Lynn.
Oh, they've got a medal.
They've got a medal, right?
Am I too forward just now?
Yes.
Oh, what's that?
If
That's
you
my
pre-
bomb?
Yeah, if you press it again, it explodes.
Oh, I should press it again.
Lucian and Misfortune's quite a minging combo, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that knock up though.
You know what I mean, mate. You know what I fucking do.
Did that work? It was the my stuff.
Just keep throwing your bomb.
I did try.
Enjoy the festivities.
So when you see minions, Lynn, just keep throwing your bomb at it.
Hey, I'm off.
I should get my kill first, right?
Yeah.
Full bill.
Oh my god, she also needs to fucking do it.
The Isles remember.
I'm aiming suck.
Am I doing it?
God damn it.
Oh my god, I've got 0 minions, and I've actually been going for them. This is a fucking Steve. I can't one-shot one of Yorick's little fucking balance.
Press W,
You
Lynn.
have to double-click that W for it to blow up.
I need to mill my self.
Someone with my beard I know well.
That fucking Yorick. Also, when Smolder dies, he says, "Mummy."
What?
He goes, "Mummy."
I dreamed that I was chasing bugs and
Would you
down
like
the
a
hill, but then the
recommendation?
bugs were a city
Or
and
perhaps a
well,
bit
I
of
squished it.
trivia? Stay safe out there.
What does my R do again? Big bomb?
Big bomb, yeah. Good bomb.
Sandy.
Hey, there's a short range.
Your bomb is major range. It's not short range at all.
No, I
Just
mean,
keep throwing your Q.
the E.
Yeah, your E is. Keep throwing your Q towards him. Every time your Q is up, throw at him.
He never lets me prove them wrong.
Oh, go, Rosie, I got Rosie, I'm dead.
The Annie seems to know. Oh, fucking hell, that trundle.
Enemy triple kill.
At least I didn't end up in the tree again.
I've got colour minions with my ult though, so fucking worth it.
What the?
What is what?
Never mind.
Just trying to stack. Stop walking so far forward. They'll get you again.
Kill and use its full.
Good ult.
Oh, lovely ult.
Hey.
Oh no.
I wasn't even in that fight because the minions were just fucking ganging me.
Fucking had your legs spread, mate.
Yeah, I was gaping.
Oh, damn, gaping.
I'm just proud Lynn's still alive.
I just bombed someone, yes!
That's how I imagine you'd run if you were actually in this game, Lynn.
Oh, that's misfortune. Dying, I'm dying. What should I get next? Shadow Flame?
Yes.
I can't eat them, then why do they gotta smell
That's
so
what they recommended.
She fucking executed me. That sloot. That fucking sloot got me.
That dog. Hopefully Fizz can do more than just blow up.
Just do the minions. Do the minions, babe. Just cue the minions. Run off, run away. They're dead.
If you
better not be having too
that
much
your
fun.
W, if you chuck that on the floor and then stand at one of the edges and press it again, you fly backwards. In whichever direction you're standing in.
That's too difficult to control where I jump. I guess I would just jump towards them.
No,
Like
you
the last
you
time,
aim
like-
backwards. So if you put it in front of you and then press W, you'll fly backwards. So as
Just
long
like
as
the
you
similar champions I played before, and then every time I just walk towards.
Try it now, Lynn. Try it now.
Chuck
Throw your W down. No, come back. Throw your W down.
it down there.
Yeah,
Oh!
you don't need to
Just automatically.
you don't need to press it straight away, but yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, it's only because you pressed it straight away. But
Oh, my team is fortune.
Lynn, come here. Lynn, come in.
Where am I going?
Too late. Why did you walk towards the enemy?
You said come here!
Yeah! I'm not the enemy!
Don't even know which one are you
And who's talking?
most of the time. Wait, are you Annie?
No, I'm Smolder. I'm the little dragon.
I shall perform your rites.
This is gonna be fun.
Welcome
If
back.
things get so scary, my shop is always open.
Good knock up.
Oh, I hope you weren't nice.
Just keep chucking bombs, babe. That's all you can do. Keep chopping bombs. Stay at the back, chop bombs.
Oh, forward, forward.
Good job, Annie.
I'm sorry, backward.
Did it!
Good ult. It was a good ult.
I jumped.
I watched you jump.
Someone.
It was a good jump.
It was.
Yeah. Like, you did it and got your ult out at the same time, which is, like, next level.
I'm just suppressing everything. That's why.
I know.
As always.
Oh mate, emo tippers.
Yeah, it's Fright Night.
Oh.
Oh, that's better.
Remember, Lynn, you got to pay attention and not be the front line. You're. What are you doing? Why are you throwing bombs? You threw bombs off the map.
I did?
Yeah, back off, back off. They just got too much front line.
Yeah, if they didn't have Brundle or Yorick, it would be handy. But
The near perfect team. If they didn't have the near perfect team.
yeah, I reckon we still got this though. Easy work.
I am going to go Blade of the Ruined King.
Cheeky little blader.
King Ice pressing it.
That's Trundle.
Oh. I throw up. I wasted my ult.
God, you're embarrassing Keep an eye out for any mysteries.
Oh fucking hell.
Do you want to try it?
No, I can't. Only you.
Anyone could have.
Good job, babe. Don't stand still. Good job. Kill the minions.
Oh. What's the one healing me?
Oh, I gotta work on my landing. I look
Smolder sounds like.
my turn.
What's your what?
No man. B boost.
Your E?
B.
Your what? Oh, that's good. I'm glad I got to play the game. No.
Oh,
You-
mate,
you-
misfortune so close.
Death
Rabbit.
Cup.
Yeah, Death Cap. They've got a basic perfect team, Lynn.
Yeah. So we're gonna lose.
Yeah. Their team's literally perfect.
I don't think so.
But when you walk in,
Okay.
when you walk into 5 of them, you will die.
Sorry, was it? I thought I have like the turret to protect me. But...
Just throw bombs at the minions when you get a chance.
Where are they?
Just cue the shit out of them.
I won't take the fucking ball.
Do you see anything fun up there?
My fucking ult does nothing to melt.
Is it doing anything to anyone?
I don't think it is. Ah, so close. And he got him.
Hallelujah.
Your remains will serve a purpose.
Hello, dear. What would you like?
Have a new task.
Oh shit, give me a Titanic.
Oh, fuck it! Fuck!
Back off.
Ew.
Back off. Back off.
Oh no.
Thank you.
Ah, I'm stuck in a fucking. How many hits? Takes 4 hits to get out of that wall.
Must be level in a second.
It wouldn't matter anyway, he's fucking max rank.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Having the perfect team is not fucking ideal there.
Oh well.
Uh,
Sorry, buddy. Fucking TV just fucking leaned forward.
you said, how do I know? No, mind. Not important.
You just click go once and then it tells you what your rating is.
Show me on your stream right now.
I am.
Listen here,
Which
Buster,
bit?
you show me it
Where
right
is it?
now.
Oh, okay. That means nothing to me.
That's nice.
To me, I mean. I
The fuck has just happened to my fucking... Because it's how you played. It's your rating.
Yeah, but it's all waffle anyway.
Unless you get an S, then it's everything.
And then it's fucking all I get, baby. All I fucking get. But until then, that's useless.
Yeah, leave the party again.
Bitch.
No,
Did
you're
it
here.
right.
No, you're here.
Okay.
That's right, this is the one. This is going to be the win. I can feel it already. I can actually feel it in my bones. I feel it in every fibre of my fucking being right now. This is it.
I'm gonna stay quiet about that. We haven't used those for a while.
Haven't used what?
Yeah, Papa. Papa. Papa, Hannah.
Oh, fuck me.
Raya
Let's
and
think.
Cal.
Go Kale.
Raya?
Go Kale.
How to say that?
Briar.
Oh,
Single target damage and durability. Single target and damage and healing. Ramping attack, speed
That one.
and healing.
That one. I don't know who to go.
we've got Mundo. But maybe, I don't know, a juicy set, but if it's in the wrong comp, you're just going to get fucking bullied, innit? No, don't go fucking set. You're just going to get bullied. Yeah, oh my god. You just fucking... Do you hate yourself?
I didn't... I didn't activate his skin. I didn't activate his skin.
You basic bitch.
I've got so many skins for Annie.
Oh my
So
god,
you're
it's
just choosing
Annie.
it.
Oh, they've got...
You've had a fucking nightmare.
You're going to have a problem,
Oh,
Joel.
that
Me?
If that Vex hits you with an ult, you're going to have a problem.
The fucking Morgar, the Blitz... Oh.
Shaker.
The Blitz, mate. Fucking 10 and all.
Did you hear that, Lynn? I was like, if that Vex hits you, you're going to have a problem. I didn't look at the rest of the team. Basically, there's 3 of Joel's most hated camps.
I'll
Oh,
take
they're
back
all here.
everything I've said in it.
So, Lynn, you can't walk forward by yourself. You will be grabbed and killed.
What should I get first?
Who are you?
Who are you? Who are you?
Who are you?
I'm Cal.
You want Nash's tooth.
Oh, no.
That one's top drawer.
Wait, what do I do?
Max your E.
Fire crystal. Fire crystal for the stuff on time.
So basically,
Someone's here already.
don't die. Level 6, Lynn. You can put your ultimate on anyone, including yourself. It will keep you alive forever. Okay?
My ultimate?
Your ultimate, your R. Your R is very important.
You're joking. Don't die.
Yeah, so you want to
Fucking hard.
try your best not to die. So don't get involved in any fights unless they come near you. So stay behind Mundo, the big purple guy here.
AP shape. Oh, no.
That's not my W do again.
It's a heal.
Use you?
Yeah, so you can heal me or heal yourself.
What about E?
That is your main bread and butter ability. If you press E and then auto attack someone, it does damage. Auto attacking, she's like Tristana. You just have to right click people. Okay?
You'd have actually had the last set.
Yeah, I think I would have. So just poke with your Q. Yeah.
You fucking midget.
She is a yordle. Mm-hmm. I'm in danger.
Where are you?
I'm dead.
Heaven.
Heaven, yeah. Or hell.
Nah,
Wait,
hell.
what's the W?
What, Lynn?
Never mind.
That
Don't try to
Blitzcrank.
grab me the whole time.
He hasn't hit one.
No, he has been a bit of a whiffer. But he lit me. I'll be his first.
Oh, remake.
Die because
Remake,
I-
remake, remake. Yeah.
What?
Ziggs was AFK. I wondered why that was so hard. I didn't realise we were 4v5.
I had that. That was going to be an S, mate. That was going to be our dub.
Yeah, we that was an S all over.
That was going to be the S. That was
Yeah.
going to be the dub. I just want to know that I was the one who pressed no. I'm not the French one.
It's not surrendering.
Would they ask for surrender?
No, we remade because we only had 4 people. Remember to press play again, Lynn.
I thought I did.
You did. I wonder. I was thinking about this the other day. Do you think I'll ever get bored of rage baiting cats?
No, probably not.
I don't think I ever will.
Proud. Nami and Car.
Just pick one, pick one. There's Tristana, Lynn.
Oh, 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 oh.
Oh.
Did I get it?
There you go. Oh,
Nice.
there is Teemo as well. And Lynn is a Teemo main.
Oh, is she?
She is, yeah.
I'm happy.
Pick Teemo, pick Teemo.
Rizana.
Okay, I'll pick Teemo.
Wow. Oh,
You don't have a tank. do we?
yay.
I'll be tank.
Execute enemy and cooldown.
I don't know who to go, Joel. Do I go Mundo?
Which one should I get?
Oh, Mundo, surely, innit? Surely, Mundo.
I do like Teemo.
I can't. Oh no! Oh no! Whoa!
Wow, wow. What happened?
Why?
Oh, I got ghost smash. I ain't got snowball. What a peasant!
What a pezzy wezzy. I'm so glad I'm Mundo when they've got Heimer. So glad. And a Karma. I'm so glad.
Bundle.
Were you Mundo?
Oh, not
Yeah.
Why would you be Mundo?
Yeah.
We need a tank. And what me and Joel do, we play for the benefit of the team. So if one of us isn't a tank, the other one will be, unless we have a tank.
Just team players.
Just team players. Look at
Just
Lynn.
generally fucking absolute great members of society.
Look at Lynn running Ignite onto Aram.
Oh, come on, Lynn. Trying to get them fucking kills, are you?
What?
He running Ignite. Remember, when you're attacking someone, then you think you're gonna kill them, press D on them.
What's my D?
Ignite.
My what?
Ignite.
True damage over time to target enemy champions and reduce healing effect on them for
Yes.
duration.
So you always put that on Trundle when we start fights, okay? So if Trundle's on like half health, just whack it on him. Trundle's the big troll.
Welcome to your one-stop Nordle shop. I cover all your Spirit Blossom Festival needs.
This is Dr. Mundo.
Smile of mystery. Who's that if I
Hope to
is
see you
that?
again soon.
That's the shopkeeper.
Your chart looked bad.
Oh, Luchador as well. Come on. Oh, is that a Nivea?
No, it's not.
Oh. What was that then? Oh.
We must be good, Doctor. Patients never come back.
What's got some radius on it? That turret, isn't it? Oh, yeah.
Goodbye, Len.
Wow! Fuck!
That was a proper fuck moment.
Ah.
You know the
What I
fuck.
was doing?
You got caught.
I was under the turret.
Doesn't matter if you're under the
What the fuck
turret.
was it? Oh, okay, sorry. Bloody hell, I thought the fucking pillar was. Oh, what weird. Oh, here we go.
Where are other doctors? Oh yeah.
Give me the bullet. Don't even want kills, I just want the fucking bullets.
Is that a dog that I watched the stream before?
That is the yeah. Lynn sent me a clip of the cogboard Joel when he's running away, and then he turns around and starts going.
You'll pug more.
Oh,
Who's gonna live that?
Enjoy the festivities.
Trev, you're a bit,
Jesus.
that one, mate.
how could you see? Couldn't see them.
Is Mia okay?
Are either attacked or vanished.
Ranged chips. Huh.
That's a random ult.
It was a bit, wasn't it? Oh, do I? Oh, I do? Fuck. Have that. Have that flashy little fucking. Oh, what's that?
I can finally use my mushrooms.
She flashed my Q.
What turret? So glad we've got the Morgana, you know.
Yeah, you imagine if they had her.
The earth reflects your torment.
Ah.
Big turret.
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
I got you, baby.
Thank you.
I proper get down, Mr. President. I'm gonna go Warmogs first. I'm not gonna go Heartsteel. I'll go Heartsteel now.
Yeah. I'm starting to think it's fucking pointless, you know.
Wait, I haven't got over
Depends on how the game
2k
goes.
extra health though, have I?
Yeah, but
Oh.
you'll get it in the next couple of items.
Oh yeah, I'll get it. I'll get it next.
Share the magic with your friends.
Yes, it don't matter then.
Yeah.
What's the next one I should get again?
You want to go ahead and get Leandri's Torment, the mask one.
What's this? Oh my god, that's a snowball.
Oh well, at 4K.
Trundle needs to like be not unstoppable.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if he ults you, he's laughing at it. But I mean, he should be pretty unkillable.
Cogmore's gone AP.
Come closer. Don't
Nice
be
one.
shy.
That's all we like to see.
Travelers must move with purpose.
Thank you for killing him.
We were on our Jones then though.
Yeah.
None of the team was there, but that's just because they hadn't spawned in. The fuck? Was that just Seraphine that hit me then?
Yeah, I think so.
Merchants are only as good as their reputation.
Cheeky over.
Now run along. Don't dally. I'll be right with you.
Oh, bro.
Oh, I forgot to put.
That's why it's not too important on Teemo, to be fair.
This ambient damage taking, it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's probably better.
I just did.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Perfect place to do medicine. Everyone's sick there.
I just get deleted. I can't even. I use my ult and get deleted. Yes, Lynn! Get that bitch. That's what we like to see.
At least I have finally had 1 kill.
You got 2.
Oh, nice.
Change your boots. You don't want them boots. You want sorcerer's boots.
Well, if you're sure.
Undo, undo, undo. There we go.
Get out. Go, I've got collector and IE, I'm getting there.
Watch my health, Lynn.
Oh no.
Why?
God.
Oh,
It's the item I've got.
what's the item?
Warmogs.
I got grabbed. Ah!
I saved you.
Doctoring hard. Everyone always screaming at you.
Lol.
And I'm full health.
One
of that.
Wonderful.
That. Heal up, Trev. We'll use you for tower. Oh! Fucking hell!
Pray much.
Oh my god, that hit. Can't block this.
That radius, Joel, is his W.
Huh? What's that, sorry?
That's Trundle's W. That's
Oh,
not,
yeah, I know,
it's not
yeah.
a turret, yeah.
Yeah, I realised that just
Yeah.
a while ago. Took me a fucking long time though. Just done me out as well, or just fucking didn't have it cooldown. Oh, Mortals. I don't think Mortals gives Mortals does give crit. Does give grievous wounds. Might do that to be honest.
Yeah, it would be a shout.
Voice staff?
No. You want to go... Shadow Flame. Or Hurricane. Hurricane, you'll have more fun. Go Hurricane. You'll have more fun with Hurricane. But you need to not walk forward in the fight, Lynn. You need to stay
I
back.
need the fact that pretty much a lot of the time.
Darling, I'm in the same game as you. You're more frontline than me. And I'm Mundo.
Bloody hell. This Karma's got a fucking fetish for me, true.
Lynn. Lynn.
Go up and throw those stuff.
No, you don't need to. You
Or
don't.
attack.
You don't
Or
need to.
attack.
You don't need to. That's where you're wrong. You don't need to.
You better go up. How can I attack though?
You wait.
Wait for what?
For them to be out of position. You don't just aimlessly walk up. They're waiting for you to do that.
Did you miss me?
Hey, where are other doctors? Oh yeah, in more.
Walked right into that one.
Well done, babe.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, I almost killed him with my Q, and your poison got him. We need to not fight in that circle. That
Kill
Morgana,
someone off though. We need to kind of go in.
that Morgana needs to fucking put her E on me.
Yeah.
These hex rays look fine. That's what we'd say if me took hex rays.
Most of the time, I just wear armor.
Grundle just goes for me. There's nothing I can fucking do about it. Good job. What were you saying, Lynn?
Huh?
What were you saying?
What? I don't know.
Go Rift Maker next, Lynn.
Rift Maker?
After Hurricane, yeah.
I've got a slightly different build, but I'm we'll see how it works.
For the community.
So just follow Flabby Cats around, Lynn. Okay?
No.
No, it is okay.
I try.
Lovely.
Good job.
Lovely.
What's the thing you used to ask me to do again?
Rift Maker.
How to make it?
Rift Maker. RIFT. What a nerd.
Damn it.
Hold on, babe. Get the inhib.
Oh.
Get the inhib. Get the inhib.
What's in hit? Oh.
Right, back off, Lynn. Back off. Run, 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 run.
Run away.
I'll get that health. I'll get that health. Don't you get it. Don't you get it.
I know you like. Pay attention.
Let's back off. Start.
Anyone seen Mundo's brain scissors? This old office, the one with pillows on walls.
Save your Q, Lin, for when the big troll runs at us, okay?
Big troll.
Yeah, Trundle. The one with the big club. Because if you Q him, you take away a lot of his damage.
I know.
Well done, Joe.
Yep. Keep going.
I'm going.
Keep going.
I'm running. Ah! I was literally 2 seconds off. Well,
Karma flash and power Q.
I was 2 seconds off. Oh, Joe.
You two are dead?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hide.
It's smaller than the diagram.
I don't know whether to get Unending Despair or Tiamat.
I don't know. I find Unending Spell. I don't really notice it. Maybe you do, so it might be different, but I prefer to go for items I notice
Tiamat.
rather than actually going to help me.
Can I get the help? Oh, someone needs to get the help.
Run forward, Lynn. Come on. Come.
All of you?
Yeah.
No Trundle. Trundle's gone. Fucking get in there. Have that. Fucking put that in your pipe. Oh, suck me right now.
That's wild. I just joined and the first thing I heard is that.
That's what you chose to hear.
Oh my god, that's just so much damage!
Yeah. See? That's all it takes.
What I'll say.
You,
Yay, for the game!
you get a W is what you get.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Toby.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh,
It's 5
Oh, you guys
a.m. I still
Fucking-
haven't sleep.
That sounds like
Here.
it sounds like something a degenerate would say.
Oh.
I can read that one and read. Fuck me. I can't speak.
Well, joke
Who
on,
cares? Who fucking cares?
joke's on you. I have a reason why I couldn't sleep. My ear hurts.
Oh, earache is the fucking worst.
Could be toothache.
Toothache and earache are definitely up there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have ear infection. That's why I take meds.
Yeah. Just put a syringe in and just take all the infection out.
What?
What? Rub a cat against it. That gets rid of everything. Either that or
It's crazy.
it'll make it worse. In Flabby Cat's case, he gets worse if you rub a cat on him.
All types of pussy.
Yeah, all types of pussy. Why'd you have to lower it there?
Oh, so I don't know. Well, that's plus, mate, don't care.
You got it. Ceiling.
Fucking hypnotic.
Ceiling. You see what it does when you get a good grade?
Fucking who cares, mate?
He's
That's
real and Starhead.
Ezreal. Go Twitch. Go the rat. Go the rat, Lin.
Who's the rat?
The rat. The one with... Oh, Yumi. You can go Yumi. Go Yumi, Lin.
Seriously?
Yumi or the rat. Yumi or the rat. Pick.
Can I go you?
Go Yumi, yeah. Go Yumi.
I'm just a bit on you the whole time.
No, you want to be on Joel.
Get the skin! Get the skin!
I'm going
Ah,
Raze.
that's fucking Veigar, Joel.
I'm not going Veigar. We need a tank, don't we?
Do I go? It's Twitch. He's an ADC. Joel's very good as him.
Should I change? Should I change? Should I change?
It's up to you. It's up to you.
Should I go Queen again?
No. Stay Yumi if you want to play Yumi. Someone switched to Zahin.
Easy. That's easy.
Someone switched to Zahin at the last minute.
Right.
We've got no Veigar.
Right. Oh, we didn't have a Veigar, did we?
Yeah, we did.
Who should I follow the whole time?
Me, Ezreal, and obviously Joel because he's Joel.
Who's Joe?
Leona.
Well, no, I'm only tanking.
Oh.
With a great skin. Yeah, but she can give you shields. Remember?
I don't know.
You want to go Ardent Sensor as your first item, okay?
Ardent sensor.
Yeah. That's her first skin, Joe. Look at it.
Oh, someone's a cumin in here. Oh, hello, you B.
Cumin, is that is that is that
Maybe.
is that what's the word I'm looking for?
What, a derogatory term? No.
Exotic for cum.
What?
I did notice you didn't say in twice, you just said cumin here. That's what I thought.
Someone's got cumin in. Oh, yeah. Cumin. Yeah.
Come with an accent. Cum. Who am I? Yeah. Yeah.
I forgot what. I do
Right.
already.
AP. Right, okay. That's quite.
Get into the cannon
Wait,
then.
what's the first thing I should get again?
Whatever recommended says.
Wait.
Ardent sensor. There you go. Can you just tell me that thingy?
You need to get used to it.
I'm just going to pure magic resist, I think. They're all
nothing
AP.
now.
Oh, Trev, mate.
Yeah.
So you
What's
are
up?
there.
Nothing, mate. Well, what's up?
You wish to learn the hard way, I see.
I'm going in. Oh, no, it's a zillion. Oh!
I'm gonna go in. Auto attack Q. Auto attack again W.
Ready.
I would have actually lived that.
Run, Lynn, run. Oh, don't. I'm alright. I'm alright.
What do you mean run, Lynn, run? She's on you, bruv.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, exactly.
You run.
I was. Cue the enemy, Lynn.
Oh, God. I thought I don't need to do anything.
I do not fear thee.
You did need to cue the enemy.
I envy thy wild ignorance.
Okay.
It's got a biscuit.
You're out of mana now, Lynn, because you were just willy-nilly pressing Q. Whenever there's healing, Lynn, jump off me so you can get the mana and the heal. You hear me?
Yeah. So I always take over the kill.
Never await victory.
Out of mana. I couldn't do anything now.
You piece of shit.
The focused mind gets
Good job, Joe.
What? I do. Oh, okay.
the path.
Final chapter.
A true master is an eternal student.
Good out, babe.
Yeah? Oh, I'm dead. Oh, you're dead. Oh, never mind. I don't have mana.
So many mysteries to explore.
Independent cat.
Good luck. We got land
What?
soon.
Do I only eat you guys when the enemies are like near us?
Yeah.
Should I go back to buy stuff?
You can't.
Yeah, don't know what I thought. What is? Never mind.
Welcome to the dark side. Thank you for contributing to my expedition.
Oh. Well, I can buy stuff now.
Woohoo!
My kills blessing.
Fucking hell.
The
No,
Vega one.
don't get that. Don't get Mikhail's blessing.
Then what you gonna get?
Whatever else it recommends.
Moonstone Renew. Generally good. Whispers. Circlet. What the fuck?
Yeah, whatever doesn't have active in the passive.
I brew my potions with salt water for that extra zing.
Buy the most expensive one. I don't know. Should I get the death cap?
Yeah. Mate, the amount of stuns they have.
Yeah, they got a fucking load. I just got merc treads, so hopefully it'll do something, but
Yeah, I just got them.
we'll even see. We had if we weren't 4 for 5.
Yeah.
Oh, she's probably having a wet dream at the moment, isn't he?
Who's that?
Fuck it. Oh. Lim was on him for like a split. Oh.
Wait, you dead?
I am. You're best off probably going on Ezreal, Lid.
I will show you the path.
I thought he's dead.
Let us begin.
And he's looking to stun me every time. Fucking bitch.
I mean, the damage, isn't you?
Ah, Ezreal's more the damage than me.
Yeah, but he's gonna be back though. What we saying? Who we saying?
I mean, I'm following in if you go in, so
Yeah, but who we saying?
whoever you fancy, really, apart from Fizz.
Right.
I got. Pick another one to follow now. I have no idea what I was doing. I need to like when they all grouped up.
You should use it when they're all grouped up. Yep. When whoever you're on, when they go in, okay.
How can I couldn't go in?
You just wait.
Is that guy not moving? I couldn't use my WY.
That's fucking yuck, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, you whiff!
This Ilian's the bane of my life.
Yeah. Tell him he's never felt the warmth of the water. Oh my god, he's executing on a fucking Aram, mate. Sicilian's a bit try hard, isn't he?
So when I give you health, they just take health.
Yeah, you shield.
How many stuns?
It's crazy how that doesn't stun anymore.
It's so shit, isn't it? Zillion is the MVP. Whoever I've gone in and killed, he's put his ult on him.
Oh. What the bitch?
Just don't go on the guy with the scythe. So get off him, Lynn. There you go. Go on anyone but him. They've got so much fucking poke.
Yeah, they got quad.
Look at Annie. Annie just saving her stun. Fucking bitch.
Keep trying to walk bombs onto him.
Good shout.
But
Good
try
shout.
not to get it with
Good
double
shout.
stuff.
Zil, bro.
Like even though I clicked them, I still couldn't attack them.
Before, shall I put that on me before the bomb goes off, Lynn? Okay.
No.
Oh my god, Lynn.
Fuck it, what we saying?
I mean, you know I'll follow you in. Or that's what I would say.
What?
Annie flash
What the
tibbers
fuck
me.
happened? Oh, well. That was poor timing. That was very poor timing.
It really was.
Oh well. Got a nice lightsaber truck.
Thanks, mate.
Oh, go on. He's gone deep.
I got a double.
Fucking hell. Not even King Arthur would pull him out of that team fight.
No.
Oh, that's silly. Causing so much torment.
So much damage.
Oh, when they get her in it. When they got a turret?
Yeah.
I mean. Yeah, nice one's hitting you fucking goon.
I almost got her as well. Well done, Lynn.
Ah, that was me? How?
Yeah. By doing a good job.
I can't wait to school some fish. Never abandon your dreams.
30 seconds to ult.
Oh, I want to go in now.
Wanna go in now?
Oh!
I was one.
He's had so many shields! No!
I was 1 second off my alpha strike.
Oh, nightmare. Fucking hell. Can't even kill children. They're so easy to kill. Nightmare. 45.
I can't believe he fucking literally cried.
Yeah.
Oh, it's D plus.
Yeah, it's because you're Yumi.
Ken was D+2.
I can't remember who you were last game.
I don't remember too. Oh, Timo.
Oof. D plus and Timo. Oof.
Mhm.
Are we ready?
I am. I'm just.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna fit 11.
I can't believe how expensive Yeti stuff is, Joe.
Yeti.
Yeah.
What's that?
A brand.
Never heard of it.
You never had a Yeti? Like cups and stuff?
Nah.
Oh, mate. I've got a Yeti cup because I had an Amazon gift card. They're a buy once kind of deal.
What is it? Is it like a standy cup? Is it like that?
No, they're all sorts. Backpacks, coolers, everything, mate.
Nah, never. So I said I've got a Stanley if you want one.
Nah, I'm alright, mate. Thank you, though.
They're pink.
I mean, that is tempting. Why do you have a Stanley?
I've two, mate.
Why?
Why? Why they pink?
No, it wasn't my choice. Oh, my uncle got given loads to his company.
Oh, yeah.
And when family went up for Christmas, well, for Boxing Day, obviously I went to Pompey, so I didn't go up. And my granddad and my dad both got me Stanley Cups. They didn't know that they each got me a pink one, but they sort of just fucking got both pink ones. Because I think they're
I don't
funny.
know what I should pick.
I don't know what you should pick either. Who are you? Oh, Mordecai's off. Jesus. Yeah, if you want to go Poppy.
Pled,
How do I-
Fizz, or Nar Balloon?
Who?
Huh?
Oh,
Surprise party and Moo.
Fizz. Go whoever you want, darling.
Who?
Go whoever you want, just not that guy. Quick! Change your summoners. You haven't got Snowball Flash. You need Flash.
You're going Shaco?
I'm going Shaco.
Oh.
Lynn, you need Flash. There we go. Whew.
They all have flash.
You didn't have Flash.
I mean, all the options have flash.
I don't care.
Sorry.
Mauser Hut. Oh, okay. I'm just not going to have fun then. Okay, cool. Cool. There is. Cool.
Some fucking geezer on a scooter at a pothole and went fucking arse over head, mate.
Amazing.
Fucking crazy.
Amazing.
Oh my god, what should I get?
You want,
3, 2, 1, no.
you want, I don't know, tank, I guess. Heartsteel if it's an option.
ODOP, oh man.
I'm a tank?
You
What?
are a tank.
Okay.
Who are ya? Oh, Poppy. Oh, we're both midges.
Both yordles.
My little fizz balloon.
So, your E, Lynn, is like you push them into walls. So if they're next to a wall, like this, I could push you into the wall and you get stunned, okay? That's how you do it.
What does my Q do? Just
It,
attack?
it smashes the floor and does damage. You need to pick this up. Pick this up. That's your shield. Don't waste your mana unless you're fighting.
Oh, yes! Hitting the worm on the dance floor. Go on, boss. Go on, boss.
Look, Lynn, look at Flabby Cat's dance floor.
Oh, mate.
Look at the dance floor, Lynn. Back off. Lynn, back off! Look at the dance floor.
Oh!
I'm doing the worm on it.
I was thinking like, what are you guys saying? Talking about?
Oh.
My sack off art still first. Go warm box, you know.
I did that. It felt like I was behind. Good job, Lynn. Good tanking.
That was.
It was. Go get the health, Lynn.
Put some... Where?
Up there.
Where?
Up there.
Oh. My god, that's wild.
So, Lynn, your W stops people from jumping around. So when you go into like Wukong or anyone like that, you press W. And you got to try and get the other side of the wall. Okay?
The other side of the wall.
Yeah, so if they're where I am now, you're perfect. You can slam them into the wall. So you constantly don't want to be against that wall. You want to try and position yourself so you can slam them.
Saying.
Good job, Lynn.
Oh my god, my cooldown is so fucking low. The ultimate.
Why am I playing good as Shaco? What is going on, Sean?
Why so serious?
Remember, don't take too much damage, Lynn. You got to wait for the team, okay? So back off. Back the fuck off. Hit minions. Back off. Back off, Lynn. Oh. So your ultimate, Lynn, you hold down the R button and aim at them and you knock them back. Okay?
Or tap it and knock them out.
Yeah, or tap it and you can knock them in the air.
Treasures of the ages on sale now.
Okay? Okay?
So my eyes knocked them up.
Yeah.
Peace. Anybody.
Basically, follow Joel around.
Tim's having fun on Shaco when he's.
I am.
yucky.
Yeah. Just follow Flabby Cats around if you can, Lynn. You're playing good.
You're joking.
Nope. You're 1, 2, 3. That's not bad. You need boots quick though.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh man, I'm so close to getting executed. Yellow. Oh!
How did she see me? What the fuck?
Not the sushi.
Good old Lynn.
Well,
That was actually a fuck. Anna's
Oh,
fucking stun. That's
Lynn.
that's my girlfriend.
Fucking what an oh!
What did I do?
I've got a boner right now.
I've got a fucking boner, mate.
It's because I have a boner.
What did I do?
You, Lynn, stopped Wukong from doing his ultimate by doing your ultimate, and then you slammed him against the wall.
Fucking hell.
I did.
Yeah,
Nice.
you played him exactly how you were supposed to play Poppy.
Press every button.
No, I don't believe that because you seem to do it always in order.
It's got to be like it's because it's Asian gaming, innit?
Yeah.
No.
Just built to be pro players.
Is Faker Korean or Chinese?
He's Korean, yeah. But Uzi was.
That's true.
Uzi was Chinese, wasn't he?
Right, go in, Lin, go in. Slam, slam, slam! Slam, slam! Yes! Yes!
Mad Life? No, he wasn't.
Lin might like playing Shaco, Joe.
Bruh, 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 someone help! Ah! What should I get next?
You want Ghost Blade. And when you run up to people, Lin, put it on your number 2. When you get it, you'll understand. That Mel can see my shit.
What?
That Mel always shoots my Shaco boxes.
Well, it's not instantly stealthed, is it? Like it has to stealth.
Yeah, true.
Like a shroom, innit? Shroom don't instantly stealth. Good. I think he got the way we snuggle. Oh, I like the enthusiasm. I'm a big fan of that.
Like, how the fuck did he see me in the bush?
Smell.
Fair.
Oh god.
Oh, I need Lichbane, that's what I need. I was trying to think. I'm not doing much damage. That's like, oh, Lichbane.
Are you attacking after your things, or you just chuck the shiv in, yeah?
Yeah, but when I do, you know.
Picking up what you put down, bro. Oh, I ain't got the ult yet. Oh, I should have got tier really.
Kill that fucking minion.
I'd say just fucking main Poppy, honestly, Lynn.
She loves like top laners, which can just go in and do shit.
Just aggression. Stop putting Lynn on fucking shitty ADCs, mate, and get her on engage. She's an aggressive woman. She needs
So I
aggressive
just need to go in and die. That's what I'm doing.
Just go in.
You've got 14 assists. She's a support as well, Poppy. She's a top lane and a support.
someone. I should get throat milk.
Yes, you should.
Yeah.
What about unending despair?
Yep, could be a good item.
Oh, mate. Fucking how many roots? Oh, yeah, that was that. That's it, Warmog. Warmog's after Thorn.
No, Lynn, no. So, Lynn, when you go in, press your number 2. And you'll run faster.
I need to press it?
Yes.
It's not automatically?
No, that's because I said press it. Some items have actives.
So I need to active my boots. That's what you're saying.
It's not your boots. You need to active the Ghost Blade. Yeah, what you just did there. But it's the wrong time to do it.
I'm just trying to try.
Am I?
I got no. Why we were in a slow motion for a second?
Because Varus has a slow.
Varicity.
Fucking Ash, man.
I walked too forward, did I?
That Varus walked into my box that was on the health. And died.
Oh, is that how he died?
Yeah, that's fucking funny. Do I get Collector?
Nice.
Do I get Collector, Joel?
I don't know. Is it worth the execute?
It would proc. I'm not sure.
Off your box, yeah, it would, yeah.
I'm not sure if I should get
My
it.
God. That
What?
burn. You know. When you chuck that thing, Lynn, after you attack someone, there was a little shield on the floor. If you pick that up, you get a block of shield for you.
Yeah, is
Yeah.
it a white thingy?
Yeah, the little thing that
white
bounces
thing
off
that
you.
Chuck, if you pick it up, you get a little shield. Yeah, that thing. So if you stood over that, there you go, you got a shield.
Did it drop it again?
Yeah, it's like on a cooldown.
Fucking Shaco's funny, man. How did he get me? I was in. Did he just miss you?
Turret.
Did he miss
No,
you?
you're under turret.
Oh, the terror is destroyed. Nice. Woo!
You were on the turret, Trev, so he saw you, didn't you? You weren't stealth.
I was about to say, no, I know 11 and 5 ain't talking to me.
I'm 6'9".
6'9".
Excellent.
I'm still going.
My W.
No turret. Keep going. Oh. Worth. Worth.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh,
Back off, Lynn, back off. Stay around the Zera. Right, back off, back off, back off, back off.
who's the Zara? Oh, golden one?
Yeah.
Tell me when should I go in?
Back off, back off, back off.
Not too expensive.
Back off, back off.
Click.
Oh, got me out. They are low. Nice. Nice.
Oh my god, it's so far away. What does my D do again? Throw a snowball?
If you've got snowball, yeah.
Oh no.
How far away can you throw?
Hold it and you can see. Hold it, then right click to cancel it.
Oh, I hit the Wukong. Nice. It's shorter than I thought.
What last item should I get, Joe?
You are here? Oh, Joko.
I can get Void Staff now.
Oh.
I can
Void
get
Staff.
Nash's Tooth, Void Staff, Rylai's for the slow, Cosmic, Leandries?
Nah. I'd go for just damage, mate. But a void or a Abaddon's, I'd say.
I still got.
Whether I fucking hate the cunt, mate. So I might not be the best guy to ask. Just get in here.
Perhaps I may be able to afford a better robot. A little bit slow. Do they still talk about me?
I went Void Staff.
Right.
Malzahar's E did that to me.
Oh.
It's got you.
Where did Mel fucking come from?
Shield's at the back.
Oh, where'd you come from?
Get this one.
Oh. Oh, what? Oh, my God. I missed every skill shot. Oh my god. Fuck's sake. As long as they don't fucking... As long as we don't throw here, we should be good, to be honest.
I have all manner of marvelous things.
That was just a poor team fight. I mean, we fucking got this.
Yes, that one.
Realistically, we fucking got this.
I love hide and seek that.
Force of nature. Last item, force of nature. Okay.
Melt splash.
Use W and press number 2 to get in then.
Nice, you should end now. It's 4 on Malzahar. No turrets. Just fucking end. He's got no ult as well. Nice.
Easy.
Fucking easy.
So how did you like Poppy, Lynn?
Meh.
What do you mean, meh?
Oh, I could have given you guys thumbs up.
Oh.
Meh.
What do you mean, meh? What did you get?
I like her.
What rating?
C plus.
Okay. Well, there's then no S on the movie. The fuck?
Oh, I know, mate. Cucked.
Oh, I didn't realise I had 22 kills. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Sabi Shaco fucking absolutely shagged them, didn't it?
Then none of them built magic resist apart from...
No, but none of them really would. Well, I suppose Panth might.
You'd look at the game though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, I guess so, yeah.
One last game. One last game. Also,
Let's get a loss in before bed.
for some of that game, it was a black screen. I will admit that.
What do you mean?
I didn't press the button
What button?
on my stream.
Why'd you turn it off?
I haven't turned it off.
Oh.
What I mean is I didn't change scene, so the scene I'm on right now only does the client, so I need to switch it for the actual game. And I forgot.
Oh, you mean the frame is like tiny?
No, it doesn't pick up the game at all.
It can't pick up the game at all?
No. When I'm in the game,
So
if I'm on this screen, it doesn't pick up what we're playing.
It was just you face camming.
Blackness, yeah. There is Lulu, Lynn. Unless you've got good picks.
Sarah's Wayne?
Oh, she's an ADC if you want to be her. Or Lulu, like I told you about.
I forgot about her already.
Well, who do you want to be?
For sure. I don't know.
Lulu is the mage who shields people and make people big. And turns people into cupcakes.
Support.
Oh, God.
Pick. Because if you're not going to be Vayne, someone needs to be Vayne. Pick. Okay.
Sure.
Oh my god.
Let us hunt those who have fallen to darkness.
You can be really, really annoying, Lynn, with Lulu. Really annoying.
You what?
You can be really annoying as Lynn, as Lulu.
How do you
God
do
damn.
it again?
So basically, your R is what you use to save people or yourself.
R.
Okay.
Mm.
Your Q is a line that you hit and slows people. What do you think? What do you think, Joel? Nash, just build her like Timo.
Down, stock up now. Any item you need with shopkeeper Lau.
Build her like Timo, then.
I didn't sense that.
Or anything, mate.
No. Build her like Timo.
I forgot.
You do not forget how to build
Luden's
Timo.
Echo.
No. Nash's tooth.
They didn't give me the option.
Yeah. Find the option.
So my Q slowed down.
Yeah. Your E is a shield
My-
or does damage to them. If you shield us, it's a shield, but you can damage them with it. You don't go front lane. Let this little reptile here and this fat guy go front. Okay?
My E.
Your E is a shield or does damage to them. Your Q is also damage. They got a Ramus.
Two ADs, 3 APs.
Ah, good polymorph, Lynn. Just. Run away, Lynn.
I'm trying.
W. Ah.
Some lessons cannot be passed from teacher to student. They must be experienced.
That's a full level charm.
My mission is 0 defects.
I should use my E on people.
Yes.
E on people.
Yeah, you can either save us or do damage, like I said. Like that, yeah. But only do it when we're in the fight.
Where am I? Oh.
Good job. Good job, good job, good job.
Oh, I got charmed. I got charmed. I'm dying.
Good job.
Can
Good
I
job.
die? Can I
Good
just
job.
die?
Yeah, try. You can try and kill someone. Oh, I can't believe he lived.
Oh.
Yeah, Zeref.
Ah,
Zeref got him.
Lovely stuff.
what's the boots I should get?
Get attack speed boots. I think you'll have more fun with that. So your ultimate, Lynn. If Joel or Gragas go in, put your ultimate on them, okay? Or if anyone goes in, don't use it willy-nilly, okay? Like, use it now on Zeref. On me. On anyone.
Couldn't. Maybe they got stung.
Yeah, yeah.
Couldn't do anything.
Yeah, we're all stunned.
Fucking.
Why were we all stacked?
I don't know. Kind of.
I have seen this
Oh, they've got quite a good stacked team, haven't they?
Once before, long, long ago. If it persists,
Oh, fuck me. Oh, I've got it, when I.
Put it on Joel, Luke. Put it on Jolin.
What did I put on him?
That.
Yeah, actually put on him.
Yeah, but you wasted it.
I fucking knew it. I would.
the enemy moves slowly and without thought. If I were out there, this would be over in an instant.
5 seconds till out.
Need that Zeref to fucking do something.
Oh, we have a Zeref.
Yeah.
You get some tank, I'm fucking dying way too quick.
What should I get next?
Hmm? What do you usually get on Teemo?
Oh, please. Zeraf, please. You fucking dog. There we go.
Honor your ancestors.
What do you...
Do I have? Oh yeah, Spirit Biz. Just thinking, do I have heals on Cho'Gath? Yeah.
Wait, Rage Blade could be good, Lynn.
Okay.
It depends how you want to play her. Do you want to auto attack a lot or just do like point and click damage?
I don't need to.
Okay. So yeah, Gwyn says Rage Blade. Cho'Gath's going full damage.
No, not.
No, not you, sorry. Gragas is going full damage.
I should put E or W on people.
E on Flabby Cats, yeah. But when someone comes in, you put W on them.
I'd probably save it for people who go in, to be fair. Like
Yeah.
Ari.
Yeah, if someone walks forward like Ari to kill us, like now, get ready. Yep, you did it on yourself, baby. And that's why you're
I'm dying.
almost dead. You put your W on yourself.
I clicked that. Copy guys.
Good job.
Oh no. Oh.
I need to use R on you guys?
No,
No.
don't waste it.
Your song's gonna get stuck in my head.
What you drove?
I went to that turret.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I was on no health.
Oh, fair enough.
Good polymorph.
I have a nice ult as well.
You want to polymorph that pro, babe. The Swain. Okay?
One that I upheld to my last breath. But after
I have no idea what you just said. What does that mean? Polymorph.
Your W. Fucking
That was a weird
read.
flash, right?
It was. It was. Yeah, your W, Lynn. Whenever he goes into bird form, just put your
Okay,
W
okay.
on him. Help, help, Flabby Cats. Go in, go in.
Where is he?
Please help me.
I just got. Why am I going there? I just got killed. I
'Cause you-
thought I pressed the
You ran up to
button.
her. Fucking Seraphim, man. I got it. I got the kill.
Oh, I pressed the wrong button.
Run, Lynn.
Move like the river.
Remember, when you're attacking her, put your W on her. Okay? Put your E on Gragas.
Oh, mate. Fucking love that.
Rammus is playing so passive.
Hmm?
That Rammus is playing so passive.
Yeah. Don't trust the Swain, does he? Oh! Ah, nightmare.
I ain't got the damage yet.
That was so close to being fucking glorious. Nice.
Next, Lynn, you want to get Wit's End. Go, Lynn, go. Look what's ahead of you.
though I no longer wield the Aeon Erna, I pray its new owner remembers what I taught her.
That was a good polymorph, Lynn.
Wait, say that again. What should I get next?
Wit's End, WIT.
I didn't fucking damage that Swain, you know. I can't even fucking scratch him. Yeah, that's just teeth.
I have seen the spirits behave this way once before, long, long ago. If it persists,
Bramble and Hollow, maybe.
What the fuck is he doing? W me, Lin?
Where you? Where you? Where you? Oh.
So. Nice one, Trev.
Good job, everybody. Good job, Lin.
Oh, come on.
I ain't got any damage yet.
Oh, nightmare. Ate a fucking minion. What bloody noob.
I am a power.
Run, Lin, run. If you know you're gonna die, just stand there and attack them, okay?
Okay.
may the spirits guide you.
What do I do here?
Dom's turning up.
What should I get next? I have no idea what I'm doing here.
Nice one, Trev.
Oh,
Pay attention. I don't really know what you should get next.
Mortal Reminder. Fucking stop that. Swain from getting some down now.
Do you mean Moralelicon?
Oh, is that the AP version? Yeah.
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 It's called Moralelicon, so just put in MOR in, okay?
okay.
Because Pick should give that as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And I want you to do your abilities on Swain, the big guy in the black trench coat, okay? Do your abilities on Swain.
Swain.
The guy in the black trench coat! Say no to surrendering.
Never.
Mortal Reminder.
No. MOR for Moralelicon. It's a black and green book. Go, babe. Go. Just go attack people. Go. Get the health, Lynn. Why is there only 4 of us? Oh, he's still dead. Wasted.
Oh, yeah. I pressed the wrong one.
Your ultimate could have turned that fight. Your ultimate, Lynn, could have changed the fight.
Couldn't find the thingy you said. MOR?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't find the thingy you said.
Put in more then. MORE.
I mean, that was a close one, to be fair. We were
Yeah.
stacking.
Yeah. Wouldn't go that build again on Vayne. That's supposed to be like a good build. Just like on hit and field hunter bolts. And it's just poop.
The B plus.
Well done.
That was shit.
You played better than you have been. You got loads of assists. Which is what Lulu's supposed to get.
I always wasted all the fucking assists. I don't know. You know what am I doing?
It's okay. All comes with practice, babe. It all comes with practice. Do we do one more?
No, I'm done.
I feel I'm spent, to be honest.
Okay. Okay.